of I and I. Metamorphosis.
Keep listening.
In life I shall be the same, in death I shall be a terror.
I'm on black, me no brown, me no white. Nah see Babylon stripe, you mad?
Guiding I eternally. Guide I. It's the voice that sets me free. Guide I.
Emerging from a cocoon into a caterpillar. From a caterpillar to a butterfly. The metamorphosis is here. It's live. Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis, word, sound and power, music, drumming, current affairs, everything to grow and lift up your mind. Metamorphosis.
No more youths and youths for sale. We get wise and don't decide to change their style. Bobby wrong, keep your empty promises and your crooked smile. Metamorphosis, come with your thoughts, change your way of thinking. Metamorphosis, the change begins with you.
I'm gonna cause it, black men of Ethiopia, Timbuktu, Alexandria, gave the light of civilization to this world. Ethiopia shall stretch forth our hands unto God, and princes shall come out of thee.
Guide I. It's the voice that sets me free. Guide I.
Good evening, I'm on Black.
Good evening.
This is Pauline from St. Mary. Calling to big you up on your program. I am a disciple. I've been there since almost the inception.
Guide I. It's the voice that sets me free.
I just feel me to tune into because, me always even watch someone that tell life and stuff, and that I have to see for later. I have to really listen to you first, you know what I mean?
Did you know that's a richer Africa? Did you know that's a richer Africa? Did you know? Said the whole world love it. Did you know? Said the whole world love it. Be proud of your culture. Be proud of that what you got. Be proud.
Check. Jamaica Nina. Check.
God, me I write you a letter. Just steal some herb from me nerve, cause me can't take the pressure. Nika gone pan the hustling, she can't do no better. No. 10 time pan her back and a stranger pan tap on the man, them a beat her off for your spot. Father, tell me what is that?
Represent not GLP or PNP. Them can't tell me why the real warriors rest in peace. See all these P's mean RIP. Pestilence are where we forget RID. Police brutality, unwanted tragedies. Youths can't get no work for provide the school fee. Instead of books, them get guns and some broken dreams. What a calamity. Oh Lordy, please.
Which party the daily police kill poor people pitney. And no matter how we fight, nothing no come out of it. Me the family for the woman we kill a 4-year-old baby. Evil a take over the country. Them a renovate jail for house the juvie. And now create education opportunity. Oh Lord, Lord. Oh, thy will be done. quicksand. Now tell me who is to blame? It lies with us and no one else. We shedding every day, black people wasting away, black tears drowning our minds, black people walking blind. That's the wool of our eyes. Our future don't look bright, but we have the answer to shed no more black tears. Hate, self-pity done, no more talk. Time for black people walk the walk and take control of the situation. We cry peace, we cry love, but get no answers. Action will get a reaction. Stand up and fight, and that will stop the black tears. We shedding every day. We will stop wasting away. No more cloud in our minds. No more walking blind. No more wool of our eyes. We future gonna be bright. We have the answer. Stand up for our rights. We gonna stop the black tears. Black tears. Black tears. For years, up and years, we've been shedding black tears, and now we're standing in quicksand. Now tell me who is to blame? It lies with us and no one else.
Take us away from Africa with the intention to steal our culture. The good for the post by and say, humble yourself, my little one. Humble yourself, my children. Humble yourself. Oh, my brother.
Metamorphosis.
While you're than I live. Me loving Africa. Love and emotion. My interpretation, love universal. Loving Africa. Loving America. Loving Canada. Whoa. While you're than I every knee shall bend. Every tongue shall take. Down in this valley, down in this valley, down in this valley of Jamaica. Where is your love, Jamaica? Where is your love, Jamaica? Where is your love, Jamaica?
Greetings, greetings, greetings.
I can feel your love trying to touch your love.
Here they are, here they are, here they are. What a time to be living in. The 6th of January, 2021. It will go down in the history of the world as a day when there was a significant drama unfolding live on television. Another international show The kneeling on Floyd George was one. Whole world watched that. And it was traumatic already. This one now appears to be even more traumatic. Hail all ones and ones who are listening to the Metamorphosis. Dr. Iman Black, your host. Greeting the ones them who have been following the program and listening and realize that in the last program I spoke to the item, I said that in 2 days, the President of America would play his final card. 2 days would have been Wednesday the 6th. And what a card. Oh, what a card the trumpet has played. And the whole world is in a sort of perplexed state. What is the nature of the game? Who is this player? What a thing in the earth today. And with all that we are observing, Metamorphosis will try not to overcrowd the brain with all of these breaking news. And I will make an attempt to sift out the streams of narratives coming out of the major powers and giving it to us like food, and we just simply eat it. This is the hands of the media. But it's a great moment to reflect and analyze on the position and the condition now of black people. Them say something like when Fowler fight, something must move out of the way. Something we know other thing going in Jamaica. What's going on in the earth today is not something that black people must try to be upfront in. The time to retreat and regroup. So the Metamorphosis now, with so much things happening, we simply try to focus on a few central ideas that will continue right through until the last trumpet is blown. And I'm saying at this point, the state of affairs in the United States leaves this president with roughly 9 days to create as much mayhem as possible and pardoning and doing all the things that ultimately will make it nearly impossible for the incoming administration to change the course of America's fall. So the thing that I will try to focus on is not really so much about the show that manifests in Washington, that great theater. Nor will I really spend even much time now looking at the individual star of the show. But as a black man now, looking onto the spectacle, I must remain focused that certain things are still essential to overstand. There is still COVID, and COVID has transformed itself into COVID-20, more deadly, more dangerous, but them say not as much threatening to life. That is what they keep saying. But the ravage has increased. And islands and countries are locking borders, and the economic and the political spin-off of COVID has not even begun yet. But the drama in Washington seems to overshadow COVID. That even it appears as though there's no more interest in COVID in America. The focus now is on a certain set of ideologies. So here what I want to look at. I want to look at the concept that seems to be under threat in America. The concept of democracy. So and I want to open a reasoning onto what is democracy, what is the Constitution, what does it mean, and what is a constitution? I in Jamaica can tell you I don't know the Jamaican Constitution, but I am more versed in the Constitution of the United States. And this is what many are claiming is under assault. What does it mean to black people for the Constitution to be under assault? So I want to look a little bit into what is a Constitution, what is democracy, what is capitalism, and what is Christian evangelical. What is that idea of white Christian evangelicals? Who are these people who hold strong to the Bible and speak of a Christian insurrection? So, Metamorphosis, looking beyond the show, and what is it that is really falling? There are those who say Babylon falling. Be careful, black man. Babylon is the ancient knowledge base of black people. The foundation of astronomy in Western Europe is based upon the knowledge of Babylonian astronomy. So if we want to be more correct in our perception of what is falling, is Rome. And Rome has always been the center of our problems as a black people. The early Rastaman did put a fire upon the Vatican. And Rome is a force that mediates when Europe goes into their tribal wars. And Rome is a force that divided the world between Spain and Europe, Spain and Portugal. What we're seeing now is the UK and the United States in their decadence, the remnants of Rome. Black people must decide whether they are trying to sustain or hold up Rome, or is it time for Rome to truly fall? This is the Metamorphosis.
I, the son of the Most High, Jah Rastafari, our heart shall correspond and beat it in one harmony. Sounds from the burning spear.
Chanting down Rome. Yeah, I chant down Rome. You can get it clear, you know. The ancient Rastaman identified the police as a representation of the forces of evil. And the biblical Babylon is a crazy image of a society that is corrupted. The biblical Babylon. There is a historical, real African Babylon. Hammurabi laws and deep black culture. So the Rastaman slander will really begin to reflect and express the title of Babylon and the police system and those who upheld the laws of Rome. But in the reality, Rome is really the demonic force. It's a Roman Empire that came into Egypt and disrupt everything. And it's them come up with their version of Christianity. So we have to refocus on where and who is the enemy. We don't even hear the demands of reparations being directed to Rome. Reparations have been directed to all of these various countries and governments, and everybody circumvent and going around Rome. We must focus on the Rome. Rome is the center. So Rome has extended itself. Its armies have died years ago, but it operates along governmental and theocratical lines. Their religion is dominant, Christianity. And along with that religion comes an economic system. That economic system in one word is called capitalism. And within capitalism now they create this political framework now that they call democracy. But within all of that, where are the black people? Where are black people located within all of those structures? Slaves, laborers. So in today's observation of the attack on the Republic, on the seat of power of the Republic, black people must take a little left corner look now. Don't get too emotionally connected to this struggle that we are observing live on television. We need to dissect who is attacking what and recognize the political forces that recognize the power of race. This is to be an awakening. Not a celebration. It ought not to be just because everybody say, yeah, Trump gone now and look how long we want him gone. Black people, there's nothing to celebrate, there's something to overstand. Because Trump didn't birth himself. So within the metamorphosis, we're going to also just examine how that man appear, where he appear from. And how is it the society could allow that character to reach and do what he has done. And things to explore. And at the same time, we look across the African continent and realize that the African continent, the countries, over 50 of them are now organized to unite along the line of economics, trade and commerce, which is the foundation. So there's a maturity going on while empires fall, empires rise. Check it. Africa on the horizon. Metamorphosis.
You think I saw? Anna saw. Tenastilin. Dana Xavier Jimasgan. Sata Amasagana.
This is it. Originally. Thou shalt not steal. Said the Almighty. The King of Kings is here. Rules eternally.
Honor and majesty is before him. A false witness shall not be unpunished, saith the Lord.
To eat from thine own vineyard is sweet to the soul.
But to steal from thy brethren is bitter to the belly.
Behold, how good and how pleasant it is. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity.
What a great day it will be when God's people shall be free.
There shall be a time of eternal day.
Please lead us to that land, Lord, that is far away.
The gates of Zion are open wide.
In thee, O Lord, we will abide. From my tree of version that bringeth forth fruit in its season. Sata Amatigana, originally. Love ye one to another. God loves us all. Love me and I love you. God will hear us when we call. While rolling down this righteous track, we won't be turning back, oh no. Like I said, originally, this is it.
So I can come in by telling the item that last week, Wednesday, I was sitting in a comfortable space watching the international news. And what I saw televised live was a insurrection, they call it. Others call it the Trump rebellion. No, this is live on television now, you know. This is happening, you know, at the headquarters of the most powerful democratic country in the world. No, this is live on television. And so what is it that I must abstract from this experience? I sat and I watched, and I saw men, and I saw flags. And when I looked amongst the flags, I saw two particular flags that stood out. One was the Star-Spangled Banner, and the other one was the Confederate flag. Those two flags represent America. But black people, make a wake up now. Which one of those Americas do the I them belong to? And which one of those Americas claim you as a black person? Is it the Confederate flag, or is it the red stripes and stars and spanner? So those two flags show me that America have some different nations within themselves. We're talking about that even amongst white people and know themselves. They seem to have a serious disconnect between people from one section, and it goes into their history, because they can all trace this to the history of the Civil War. But the Civil War wasn't really simple between one group of white people not liking each other. It was over a bigger issue. It was over the control of black population who were enslaved. So every time you look at the history of these two groups, black people are in a position of enslavement. And there's the impression that enslavement has changed. So I watching this thing on television now and looking into the crowd and searching for the the black man them who fight in the cause. I heard this and I don't see it in the black people. So I am saying to myself, so this is an exclusive struggle. And looking further now at the response of the security forces, them kind of just move away and make things go on because they will be attacking their own kind. And at the end of it, everything seems as if it was very orchestrated. Now, I am way far away watching this unfold on television. And it is more like a Hollywood production from my perspective. The way the thing was allowed to unfold. Realizing also that it was well announced in advance. It was inspired by the leader of the nation that his followers should take up a position in front of the capital and let us be wild. So there was time for preparation by the forces. And when you contrast that to the Black Lives Matter movement and their response to their movement in Washington, you see the pepper spray and you see brutality. And it's a different kind of attitude and response by the same security forces. So black people know, those are the ones who are defending the democracy that has been assaulted. We need to reflect and examine what really is a democracy. What is this thing that many people have been convinced that must be the way a society is organized? What is the essence of it? And the biggest outcry I hear from the mainstream establishment is that the Constitution has been violated. The Constitution. And this is what it creates all of the irony amongst the white people in America, mainstream media, the Constitution, this precious document. Well, the Metamorphosis want to share with the item what is a Constitution, and specifically what does the United States Constitution say? This precious document that is being under assault by an erratic leader. And black people have taken sides, obviously. Metamorphosis want to be non-emotional and try to develop a sort of intellectual exploration into what is the Constitution and how the black people fit into the American Constitution. This is the Metamorphosis.
It was free, now it's far in the fire. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, all were amazed by such mighty power. It was Ixabieriamaskan, it was God, let him be praised. It was Ixabieriamaskan, it was God, let him be praised. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, let him be praised. It was Ixabieriamaskan, it was God, let him be praised.
The document called the Constitution.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego,
It's supposed to outline principles and foundation ideas, your beliefs. And it's usually at the center of a society, an organization. Must have a constitution. Now the Americans are defending their constitution now to the max. And one of the cries out of this last card played by Donald Trump is that he's violating the Constitution. Now, the Constitution is a document established by the framers, some men early in the 1700s. These are the foundation man them who set up America. Yeah. And they, George Washington, Madison, Ben Franklin, a whole heap of set a man there, put together a document that would somehow be the essence of the republic. Because remember America now, America is coming coming into existence. From a position where people who were in a refugee situation. We have to keep remembering how the Great Republic was established. It's people who were in a refugee condition, who were running for a better life, trying to escape the oppression, political and economic in England, decide to go across the Atlantic and take up residence. No, these group of people came with them religion and them came with them culture. But we always must bear in mind that before them write any documentation and put anything together, people were living on the land. Nations were living there, black cultures, Sioux and Apache and all these various nations. They were living there. They were the natural indigenous people of the land. So we get a history now wherein these Europeans, refugees, coming onto a mainland, and they are going to define ownership. And of course, it's through war. In today's 2020, 2021, those persons who those original white people went to war with are now on reservations on the continent. And these persons are not recognized as full forces in the United States. So the initial group of pilgrims who come into North America now and decimate the native population, they are going to set up themselves into colonies. And they set up themselves and they organize into these 13 colonies. and they resist the British who try to tax them as a colony of Britain. They reject that and define within their own grouping that they want to be independent. So we have to look at this group of people now, and these are white people, these are refugees out of Europe coming into North America and claiming. And they're going to set up a document now that is going to consolidate their existence. This document is the Constitution. And if you begin to explore what the Constitution says and what it means, you may have a different view as to what happened on Capitol Hill. Because remember now, you know, the cry is that there's an assault on the Constitution, not only by the people, but by the president. And what is the Constitution? What it say? Who does it make reference to? It speaks about we, the people of the United States, in order to form a just society. That's how it begins to speak. We, the people of the United States. Now, this we did not include the Native Indians who were being decimated. I would watch them in the Indian and cowboy movie and would cheer for the cowboys. So these native indigenous people were not involved in the we as far as the document of the Constitution is concerned. It's a we the people. And if you look further now into the status and the condition of the groups, that colonies that became the United States, when they began to kidnap and torture and capture black people and bring them into their states as slave labor, these populations were not part of the we, the people. This population is them slaves. The perception to look at what's happening today at the White House can't start by looking at when Trump came into office. That's a skewed view for black people. That's what mainstream wants you to see. We have to see from our historical eye what has really changed, if anything, and who's really struggling against who. So the Constitution says we, the people of the United States. And there is what you call now a preamble to the Constitution. And this is supposed to be now the document of reality and truth. And what the preamble says, you know, it says we hold these truths to be self-evident. No, truths, you know, the society now is going to be based upon truth. And we're supposed to be trying to banish the lies. So the document says, we hold these truths to be self-evident. Self-evident means that you can't even question it. It proves itself. But what are these truths that are held self-evident? It says, we hold these truths that are self-evident, that all men are created equal. Now, is that self-evident? Or is that a lie? Because the framers of this document are owners of black people. They are slave owners. All of them are owners of black people while they write this document. So who does the document speak to? All men are not created equal. And if we observe what happened on Capitol Hill, certain men, if they were there, would not have been treated the same way as the mob that went there. The black faces would have been picked out of the crowd and beaten, because all men are not equal under the Constitution. This is the Metamorphosis.
Babylon try
solution when the people discover that the society is built upon a lie. Yeah, a lie. So the concept of the truth is something that is skewed. Because there's a lie embedded within the Constitution. So what COVID-19 has exposed now is not just the inequalities and systemic racism in the various aspects of social life, but it is deeper. It is within the Constitution. So the transformation of that society there needs a revolution in the Constitution. Because look at it, there are so many identities that are applied to people in that country. There are immigrants, aliens, citizens, natives. There's all sorts of identities put on the people in that country. And so when your identity now reaches of being black within the Constitution, and you look at what the Constitution suggests, then there is no justice. And it is reflected further in the Constitution where when it comes to the voting, the people now who, black people, were at to fight to develop what they call civil rights. Suggesting that there was a time when the black people were not even considered to be citizens of America, just slaves. That is this mentality now of a lot of the persons who are behind the Confederate flag. That they always and forever will see black people in the framework and the condition of being their property. So that is seems to be a part of America that is threatening now what is called the established America. The America that black people rally behind and support that democracy. There seems to be an opposition force in America. So the Constitution of the United States must be examined in a critical way. And within that critical examination now is from an Afrocentric perspective, how does that Constitution help black people? When the time comes for voting, the black people are reduced to 3/5 of a vote. So check it. It's not just 3/5 of a vote, it's like 3/5 of a human being, 3/5 of a person. The police dog in America have greater value than the black man who is most educated. Yeah, the police dog. It's a time to sort of, for a rude awakening in black consciousness. It's not about the ills of democracy and democracy is failing. Democracy has always been a situation where black people have been comfortable. But within that comfort, the rage of the police force and the assassination of black leaders have been going on. So we have to stop and check now, what is this democracy? And what is the Constitution that holds up this democracy? And if the cry for justice is just a cry when the Constitution is telling you that, look, you are not equal. You're not equal. So we have to begin to reject the lie. And there are things now that the Trump army of 100 million people know. There are things that 100 million people know that I would not even try to fathom. And I would never call all those people insane and because they are racist, etc., etc. Joe Biden is racist. This is deeper than that. It's not about pointing out personality traits. This is a time to investigate the ideology, the ideological framework. Why do we have to be glorifying this American Constitution when the language in it is racist? I could say that it is a racist document. And if you want to find the foundation of racism in America, check the American Constitution. This is the Metamorphosis.
Judah. Oh Lord, Jah come now, Rastafari. Say your kingdom come now, yeah Lord. Jah come now. The conquering lion is here to break every chain.
I'm going to just run down a few names of the individuals who framed the Constitution of the United States. Who were these men? John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, John Jay, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, George Washington. These are the men who sat down and come up with this American Constitution. And in that Constitution, it guarantees that it is democracy with the political ideology. And it's a government of the white people, for the white people, and by the white people. That is a democracy. And so when African people were brought into that democracy as slave labor, got caught up in the illusion that because you get an opportunity now to vote, that now you're full-fledged in a democracy. Still slaves. Still slaves in a society that defines I and I as less than whole. We're less than complete. And it's projected and not psychologically now as a minority that is with no culture, no heritage. The only institution that we have privilege to enter is the penal system. And we overcrowd the penal system. But the other systems we can't get into. So we have to really begin to explore and examine what is this democracy under this constitution, and what really is the power behind capitalism, and what is the driving element that keeps the forces that launched that assault, the Christian evangelicals. Who are these people? Who are these people who embrace in Christianity and promoting racism and supporting the president? Black people must take a check now and check what is it we are talking about when we talk about Christianity and Bible, because Trump swore on that same Bible. So what is the Bible? And is it time that we sort of disengage from that confusing text? It is used by all forces. We have more ancient texts. We can refer to our Kemetic writings if we really need inspiration. So it's time to reflect and examine. And the insurrection is a movement towards awakening Black consciousness. This is a struggle, white on white violence, metamorphosis.
Architects, draftsmen, and surveyors, get your drawings printed in high-quality professional standards. We can satisfy your printing needs. Whether it is for presentation to your clients or for submitting building and subdivision application, make it VJ Printing Services. Whether drawing by hand or with computer-aided softwares, we will plot your negatives and print the copies as you need. We do high-quality white paper printing that is water-resistant and never fades, unlike traditional blueprint. For more information, call VJ Printing at 893-2266.
Business operators, local and overseas. This announcement is for you.
STYLZ FM is an internationally known radio network with worldwide listeners in over 120 countries.
From our studio in Port Antonio, Jamaica, to the ears of the people in your community, our listeners can be your new customers.
STYLZ FM is an economical, efficient, and effective advertising option for your business.
No matter the size of your business, there's always growth potential. STYLZ FM provides the customer reach needed to realize that upward movement.
So procrastinate no more. Advertising is a must.
For more details on how to advertise with STYLZ FM, visit www.stylzfm.com or email info@stylzfm.com or call us on 876-518-2399.
STYLZ FM, the world listens.
Greetings, this is Sister P. Join me on the Spiritual Vibrations program every Thursday 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. for a truly cultural experience.
Hey yo, Mookie, say yo. It's Takeover Thursdays.
And there's a place I know I'd really love to take you.
STYLZ.
I need you, Mookie's gonna be playing big tunes there.
Takeover Thursdays.
Only the best selectors go.
Takeover Thursdays.
Back to the old days when dance used to nice. I take over Thursdays 1 p.m. until 5. Back to the old days.
Takeover Thursdays. This and every Thursday from 1 p.m. till 5 p.m.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of Native Broadcasting Network or STYLZ FM.
Jambo, vipi, karibuni katika kipindi cha Doc I'm Black, kipindi chaitwa Metamorphosis. Jifundishe, elimika na mwelimike.
I wanna catch these straight winds in higher, blowing through the air. It's like a natural mystic. Whoa, yes. Feel your train a blow, it blow my way. Bring some blessings today. It's a natural mystic blowing through the air, and you feel it if you are aware. Jah love is in my heart, and I grant it to my brethren today. Teach them to walk in your way. Jaja, you're truly great, and their eyes can see that you spread your blessings all over me. Yeah, Jaja, you're truly great, and your eyes can see that you spread your blessings all over me. Almighty Jah, the road I tread is rocky, and the hills I climb are steep. But whenever that my foot slip, you were always there to catch me. And I'm riding on my path, treading on your king's highway. And when you're counting it around me, you make me jump and shout and say, Jaja, you're truly great, and you eyes can see, yes, that you spread your blessings all over me. Aye, Jaja, you're truly great, and you eyes can see, yes, that you spread your blessings all over me.
In a period of the world's history, there are persons who are counting down the days, and that they will tell you that there are 9 days to go to see the back of one Donald J. Trump. And in many persons' brain mind, it will be the greatest day in their lives that this administration would have come to a close. Black people must recognize that this administration cannot close, because the ideology doesn't shut off on the 20th. That driving force that is being promoted by Donald Trump will not disappear on the 21st. It may become more engaged in opposition now to the new administration. So another way to observe what's happening in Washington in the immediate is always to have a reflective position. You have to have a historical perspective. What's going on is too current to just jump up on it and make mainstream tell you what to think. This president that everybody, well, great majority want to see him back out because he's been described as the most disgraceful and is the most that and all. I don't think any one man could get so much more negative definitions. The North Korean president called him a dotard. Make enough Western European man have to run to the dictionary because they never even know that word. So this brother here has appeared on the international scene. And from the eye-black perspective, he could be described as a great disruptor. Donald, the disruptor. And what has this brethren disrupted? And has this disruption benefited I and I as black people, or has it worked against I as black people? Because nobody not really doing anything on our I and I behalf, you know. These things are happening by default. In the same way, women in general unite together by default just to oppose the Trumpian mentality. The Muslims were forced to unite even closer because of the Trumpian mentality. So by default, Trump is forcing people to come together. It is the black man time, and it has been, and this is our last moment to really get our house in order. So what is it that Trump has done now that has disturbed the establishment of America? And I want to speak and make a distinction now between the establishment and the government. It's perhaps similar to in many other places, where the government is the government, but the establishment now is the wealth. Is a man them who can put money in the politician's pocket. So there's a great opposition to Trump's behavior. And there are two things I try to do to overstand this drama unfolding as it relates to the president. I separate two aspects of him being. I look at him personality, and then I look at him identity. And most of the world, because of how the media speaks, is caught up on Trump's personality, which could be described as simply disgusting. All kind of language has been used to describe Trump: narcissistic, misogynistic, racist. I mean, you name it, Trump all it. So where this man come from all of a sudden now? That he become the scourge of the world. And what's the world now, at the same time, it's not just people in America celebrating Trump's exit. Many governments around the world celebrating too. So hear this now. What's happening in Washington now, you know, black people, we need our own perspective. We can't just take it from the USA and BBC. There must be a black view. And look at our condition and how did Trump emerge. And we won't start into the distant past. We can start as early as 1940s. End of World War II. And in that period, the Western world were victors, the Allies, over Hitler and his attempt to ascend, to put Aryanism as the dominant racist ideology. So they defeated that ideology. But the ideology never died because all those Germans scattered. A lot of them came into America, bringing them scientific knowledge and them racist ideology as it relates to black people. So we have to say now that the world was given an order in the 40s. Black people not making a decision. We have struggled to find civil rights and want to be recognized as human beings in America. So the 40s now is when the white man them of Europe and America will set an order. And within this order now you have international governing bodies, WHO, WTO, World Bank, IMF, and the NATO organization, and them set up how to control the world. So this within this order now, black people are slaves and being beaten and imprisoned, you know, We don't have no thing to do to contribute to the shaping, you know. Black people in America being brutalized for lynching, being lynched. The black people in a place like Jamaica can't vote yet in the 40s, 30s, 40s, don't have no land ownership, don't have no power. So when we look at the order that was called the world order, it's an order of oppression, but it was called democratic and democracy. And this is an ideology that was supposed to be governing the whole Western world in opposition to communism. But within the democratic ways of life, black people are slaves. No human, no rights in America. You have to be fighting to sit down in the same toilet that white people can sit down into. You have to be fighting to sit on the bus. And this is democracy. This is a constitution that black people were under, and it was called normal. Normal. International relations, normal. White man, Europe and America in hug up with one another, NATO and America money spending heavy, and everybody happy. Black people, no autonomy in nowhere in the world, and we're happy because in that norm, we are democratic, and then tell us that we can vote, and if you have a right to vote, then you are free, and all this kind of verbiage. That is the 40s. And black people struggle politically in America right through the 40s, through the 50s, to the 60s, taking enough dog bite, enough imprisonment, enough whippings, enough assassinations, just to become recognized as citizens. So the Constitution, as I said from originally, never applied to black people, because we were never citizens. We the people were never citizens. And we pay the price in blood and sweat and bones to get to this position of being able to represent yourself at a political level. But then, you know, fast forward now to the 70s, I will come to a breaking point. I am calling it 1990. A breaking point. Because in 1990, the European Americans, having Nelson Mandela in captivity for over 25 years, a black man, firebrand lawyer representing black consciousness in an apartheid South Africa, get locked down for a quarter of a century. All of this going on within the democratic world. And there's no opposition from the democratic societies to release this man. But they make millions with Nelson Mandela concerts and sell t-shirts and sell things and sell Mandela and sell Mandela and Mandela this. And when they reach a level where them broke the bank with Mandela, them just turn them loose. And black people now celebrating the end of apartheid and now racism is over. That is like a pill. And to climax that pill now, the white man then break down the Berlin Wall and create this illusion now that there is no more East and West. We are all now in this one village. And it's a time for multiculturalism. And a time for diversity. And some nice words. Well, Donald Trump has entered the scene and has interrupted that order. He has refused to move along with the customs and the ways that were established from the 40s. Breaking the alliances that were established from the 40s. Creating havoc in the Western Hemisphere. Black people within the havoc. It's time to redefine and redevelop our own consciousness. This is a moment for black consciousness to become conscious of itself. Metamorphosis.
Man, the bingy man a chant chant. See the Rasta man, the bingy man a chant chant. See the Naya man, the bingy man a chant chant. Rasta man, the bingy man a chant chant. Too much rude boy they a roll. See the prison them overload. Too much rude boy they a roll. See the prison them overload. I am man, the bingy man a chant chant. See the Rasta man, the bingy man a chant chant. I am man, the bingy man a chant chant. See the Rasta man, the bingy man a chant chant. We like take a look, see how it's a back. See say that the system no right. Every day you find a couple dead body that get killed overnight. And the rich have it plenty, they enjoy their money while the poor in the ghetto, they have no penny. They work every day, low wage for the pay. The system never get better, it get worse every day. Still, I am man a chant chant. See the Rasta man, the biggie man a chant chant. See the Naya man, the biggie man a chant chant. I am man, the biggie man a chant chant. Too much rude boy they a roll. See the prison them overload. Too much rude boy they a roll. See the prison them overload. Back when with you gun. Naya man a chant them down. Back when with you gun. Every day you run next man down. With a flattering lips and a lying tongue, implicating to the youth, said better days are go come. Then I care about your life, family or your wife, but there's no speech, no language where the voice is not heard. I say, chant them down, chant them down. I am man a chant chant. See the Rasta man, the bingy man a chant chant. See the Naya man, the bingy man a chant chant. I am man, the Rasta man a chant chant. Take a look, see how it's a man. She say that the system no right. Every day you find a couple dead body that get killed overnight. And the rich have it plenty, they enjoy their money while the poor in the ghetto, they have no penny. They work every day, no wage for the pay. The system never get better, it get worse every day. Lord, I am man a chant chant. See the Rasta man, the biggie man a chant chant. See the Naya man, the biggie man a chant chant. See the Rasta man, the biggie man a chant chant. You a rude boy they a roll. See the prison them overload. Too much rude boy they a roll. See the prison them overload. Back when with you gun. Naya man a chant them down. Back when with you gun. With flattering lips. Overload back when with you gun. Naya man a chant them down. Back when with you gun. With flattering lips and a lying tongue, implicating to the youth. People, a lot of questions to ask, a lot of questions to answer. You see what I'm saying? Oh yes, it's crazy out there. Oh God, kids having babies out there.
And his narcissism and all these type of traits. And you spend time looking at the ideological framework, what is being projected, and how those ideologies affect black people. You see it. So it's not enough to just hung up on a man's personality and then compare that personality now with Obama's personality. And then we talk about Obama being very suave and charismatic and, you know, all of these stuff. But with that, dealing with that in the power structure of the United States, it's not about charm, it's about power. And so you recognize now what has happened in the United States. This is the bastion of democracy. And you look how this man rose to power and what were the conditions that brought Trump to power, what was within the environment. And to be simple, or to be use the time in an efficient way, the American experience within his presidency had hit rock bottom a couple of times in his own history. Within modern history, we'd say Richard Nixon, 1968, carried the presidential office to the bottom. He had to resign. It's all about the corruption of the political parties spying on each other, trying to control the election. So the elections in the democratic America has always been something that is shadowy. And the impression that America tries to create is that their election is the most fair and transparent, and they use all these words to describe their process. But if we, at a distance, now observe what is it that Trump has exposed. Trump has exposed what the hypocrites always knew, and what was always a lie, and people are unwilling to speak the lie. And what is a lie? The lie is that there is no real fairness in voting. And the evidence, beyond Richard Nixon's being caught in that thing, forcing him to resign. Remember now, they're also asking Trump to resign. Different situation, but it is an office that we're looking at. And when the offices reach a certain levels, where the president is asked to step aside. The presidency also got tainted with Ronald Reagan and them Contra deal and the arms, trading of arms, when Bridget them sell arms to Iran and make a bag of money out of the war. But they say there's no morality attached to those things. Bill Clinton get a blowjob in the White House and them impeach him for that. So the host of the president, you know, it not has been sacred as they want us to believe, you know. All kind of guys have come into the presidency, but prior to Trump, they were all politicians. So Trump is the first non-politician now to occupy the seat of power. And that is very disturbing to the politicians. And if you notice the rhetoric of Trump, him call it them politicians. So we recognize that from the moment Trump entered the office, you know, Trump have a strong opposition. And from my perspective, Trump was not even supposed to be anywhere near the final race, in the final two. Trump actually entered the competition out of fun, entertainment, coming out of Hollywood as a producer of television, reality shows. The Trump's genesis is not necessarily driven by political ambitions. Because Trump, from all that we recognize, was never a politician. He created the impression of being a businessman, but I don't think he was a businessman either. But he was involved in big money and entertainment. And he moved like a gangster. So we recognize that this character now was able to come to the front to challenge what had become a problem to America, which was the race of the president in the White House, the nature of Barack Obama. White America couldn't take it anymore. And so his racism was one of the driving forces that brought a man like Trump to the front. The Christian evangelicals who were disturbed that Obama was in the house too long. Obama's first 4 years were needed to wipe away the disgrace brought to the office in America by the Bush family. Because the Bush family again carry America into war. And they make a bag of money, Halliburton, and bridging them out of the oil. So war is a money-making machine for individuals in America. And they sacrifice the life of black youths. What we need to know also is that in 2000, there was a little Jim Screechy going into the American elections too. And remember that Trump is alive and conscious, you know. When Al Gore won the elections and the Bush family were able to overpower him through the Supreme Court and brother do some things in Florida. And Bush family went to the White House. The difference is that at that time, Al Gore bite him lip and stiffen up him face and shake him on, and say, let's go on. And he played the hypocrite and he played the game. DJ Trump is unwilling to play the game and knows that crookedness takes place in the elections in the United States. And he could have said it from his first debate that him taking it to the maximum because him know, sir, is robbery going on in the American elections. No, I and I out here in the public should never even entertain that idea because those things only happen in Bangladesh and third world countries where the polls are stolen and this and that, and America will come in and show you that, oh, these countries are so backward, they must replicate America's standard. No. Just where has that standard reached? Based on what we saw on the television. What is evident to Iman is that elections in the US of A is a game of deception. And Trump has refused to play by the rules and is willing to mash up the entire game. Is willing to destroy the board, the monopoly board. Black people, stay aware, stay alert. It's not our game. This is the Metamorphosis.
Yo, people, a lot of questions to ask, a lot of questions to answer. You see what I'm saying? Oh yes, it's crazy out there. Oh God. Kids having babies out there. Oh God, tell me if you're feeling no gravity in this impoverished society. Double standard without no equity. Repercussions in a triple tragedy now. So I want you tell me how you're living. I want the people tell me how you're living it now. People tell me how you're living. And tell me if you're happy how you're living it now. Whoa, ain't no betterment under this your crocodile government. You no see the dollars, them no make no sense. Minimum wage just can't pay me rent no. So the people tell me how you're living. And tell me if you happy how you're living it now. People tell me how you're living. Americans tell me how you're living it now. A lot of parents no care how the youths them flex. Many never supervise on the way they dress. Young teenagers exposed to sex without proper supervision and a consummate. I want the people tell me how you're living. Americans tell me how you're living it now. People tell me how you're living. Europeans tell me how you're living it now. Yo, yo, it's too crazy out there. Oh God, too much man lazy out there. Oh boy, oh God, hey, I want the taxi driver them to live it up. All the preachers and the pastors them to live it up. The police and the teachers them to live it up. The dance and politicians, I want you live it up. Give the juvenile them space and make them grow up. Give them the tools, send them to school, cause knowledge can't be too much. Opportunity the youths can't get enough. And the lifestyle is so unscrupulous. How the youths them get so much big guns to bust it up. And the crime rate keep on rising up. New rules and new styles, you fi pick it up, yo. I want the people tell me how you living.
Yeah, Metamorphosis ruling on in the month of January. And though things are happening in other people's country, we seem to be very, very focused on what's happening at the center of the Western economy. And if you examine what's really going on globally, the COVID war is intensifying. And the different mutations seem to be moving ahead of the vaccine. And the struggle now to distribute the vaccine and the claim by the wealthy nations to get it first. Leave the black populations out cold. So perhaps I and I should not be focusing on any resolution to our struggle against the virus from the WHO and these European nations. Maybe we should really be thinking more now of looking towards the south, towards Cuba and towards Tanzania and towards our own cultural people. Because critically, you know, I will say something to them. And I'm not an expert at virus or a virologist. But if corona is a bacteria and is not a virus, right? If corona is a bacteria and not a virus, then the prescription for bacteria is really sunshine and certain natural things versus a vaccination. So perhaps how they're defining this thing here now could be essential, because I have an insight that the Italians now have switched them definition and therefore switched the method of dealing with the patients, and they find that they're curing quicker. A lot of the side effects that is really should be upfront is the blood clotting that takes place in the system. And so the approach is changing, and sunshine is being recognized as an important ingredient towards the fight against this COVID-19. Could be bacteria, could be virus. They don't even know is what. But we have to begin to think it ourselves, people, because people are falling down from the vaccination and they're insisting that people be vaccinated before them travel. And the whole globe is in a sort of tipsy-turvy as it relates to our health, personal health, family health. Make us use the sunshine as much as we can. Yeah, make us use the sunshine as much as we can. I think that's an essential part of the healing. Now, I just want to digress a little bit from the drama unfolding and just come home a little bit to look at something that is squeezing me so painfully. That I will, in the next program, I will actually play the clipping, but for now, I'll just speak to it. Now, we are at a distance and we're having all these opinions and analyses about what's happening in North America. And sometimes we are even more passionate about the politics of America than we are politics in Jamaica. I mean, because so many of us make a living out of that country and becomes a strong economic place to survive. You know, we are interested in things there. But Jamaica Island now, you know, is also at the center of the universe. Yeah, I know this. And within this center, all sorts of powerful energies have emanated at individual level and at the level of performance. Sports, I'm going to. And one of the things that burned me about this Jamaica Island is that as much as we criticize governments at the political level, you see the football government, it deep and very, very corrupted, you know. Yeah, the football government. And you see the sporting government is usually ignored, you know, because in a place like the Caribbean, sports is not considered to be a high stakes event. In other words, unlike North America and Europe, where sports is a big professional industry, the Caribbean still have sports as a little fun time, by the way thing. Now, what has grieving me now is that there's a telephone conversation that was what they call leaked to the public. A conversation between the national captain of the Reggae Boys, Damian Lowe, and a group of men gathered around a phone, and they represent the Federation for Jamaica's football. And that conversation between the group of man them and that young man, it was so revealing about the state of slavery and colonialism that is deep in the Jamaican society. Can you think about this now? This is football, you know. And Jamaican football at the moment is ranked in the top 3 in CONCACAF. And the youths, them have positioned themselves to be in the top 50 in the world. And you have some administrators here on the island who have no concept of professionalism. That our players from the time of Horace Borrell till now, the players who have left Jamaica to get college experience and to get club experience, far supreme and superior to the set of people who are left behind to administrate. In other words, now, the footballers are international in them experience and in them training. And the administrator for football is Banana Republic. It's some fifth world men and some fifth world thinking in the Jamaica Football Federation. And our players now are thinking like first world players. This is another generation, you know, way beyond Borrell and the initial output of sending Jamaican players outside. So what is very evident and painful, that them try to actually hijack the youth and talk down to him, calling him son, and he's one of them. And the youth keeps saying, I am not a part of management. They're trying to bribe the youth. Because what is the issue? Money. Giving the players some like Mickey Mouse money, Monkey Mouse money to play international games. And letting the youth feel as though they're doing them a favor. And I tell you, I'm going to play the tape because I felt so caught up that there was a Trinidadian goalkeeper analyst, Shaka Hislop. Shaka Hislop felt like how I felt. He said he would have hung up the phone a long time. Because the men then became so rude. But I felt such a glow within myself to see and hear how the youth handle himself. They thought that they were talking to his father, Anandi Lowe. Anandi Lowe is one of the best players ever come out of Jamaica. But they know that Anandi Lowe didn't get a certain sort of grooming within the framework of community, etc., etc. Them think is Anandi Lowe they was talking to, them talking to a son. And the son had to remind them that he has a degree in business education and business management. And that he knew exactly what they were trying to talk about. Look here, no, man, it was disgraceful that former players are now asking that the board of men resign. And I am strongly supporting that the federation that call themselves the JFF, they must step aside. Step aside for who now? No, we have a problem in Jamaica now, you know, with leadership. We have a greater problem with replacing leaders because we don't practice a thing called preparation. We don't prepare people to replace. We have a culture where people hold office until they're dead. So there's no preparation for transition. We're at a state now in our football when we can't recycle anybody else to be the federation. And if this group have to go, I am saying that the federation officers now should be coming from the past reggae boys. The man who live overseas and understand and know how a federation operate. Fuller. Yeah, you speak about yourself, BB Gardner, Damani Ralph, Andy Williams. You see that generation of Tyrone Marshall, the man who see now must position themselves and come into the country and represent the football as a federation with international experience and make them money who hold them corners. This is the Metamorphosis.
Another gaining the glory, and how long will be less and architects of Africa build for another? I know the West will crumble one day. So just say so I not stay. I had a way home to the motherland. That's where I belong. no place to stay. It's just bills every day. And no matter how the people pray, Michelangelo won't come their way. They use political strategy just to keep us in poverty. From John Marcus gave I vision, but I know by now this place is not for me, yes. I way, Pakistan is for Pakistan. Way, India for me. Way, China for China. Way, hear me say, don't be like them careless Ethiopian who get caught in a Babylon Gideon, sold out just for them high position. Don't be like them careless Ethiopian who get caught in a Babylon Gideon, who sell out for them high position. I not stay down here no more. Got to go back home. I'm gonna stay down here no more. Got to go back home. Can be doing the work while another gaining the glory. And how long will builders and architects of Africa build for another? I know the West will crumble one day. So just say so, I and I not say, that way.
gear and move into a space and a time that reflects and allows us to bask in our glory before being brought into the West and captured by democracy. Because democracy, which is the political ideology of the enslavers, whose capitalist notion was really a reflection or a nice euphemism for slavery. So I recognize that governance is not something that is specific to white people to establish. Governance is something established by persons when they reach a level of a group. You know, individual persons really don't need any structure called governance. I think as soon as we begin to establish families and families begin to come together now, and the group get bigger, interest of security becomes important. And so we begin to talk about governance and the different styles and ways in which governance are established. We have been told that democracy is the highest and the best form. But best form for who? For whom? Because it is ignorant to think of social structures without the people. And you cannot ignore the racial makeup of the population. You suffer at that consequence. That's what happens with people who think that Marxism is an outstanding economic system framework, but Marxism doesn't recognize race. So racial discrimination is overlooked in Marxism, and everybody talks about class. The classism thing is strong. That's what is reflected in the Jamaican discrimination, because it's black on black. So the way of governing now, as black people, we have to recognize that this democratic thing have its serious flaws. And they give us an alternative to democracy. They say it has to be democracy or communism. And the basic difference is that in the communist state, it's supposed to be controlled by the state, which is supposed to be a few people. And in democracy, it's controlled by the many, because it's the people who have the power through something called a vote. This deception is a serious deception. And if we check our own story of governance, we didn't have to struggle under anything called democracy. You see, the Haitian Republic, Haiti became the only state in the Western world that banished slavery now. So if you really want to talk about a true democratic state of and for and by the people, you have to look at Haiti. It's the only place where a black man could go and let him touch the ground and free. He's no longer a slave. So we have to be careful how we connect this freedom of democracy with slavery. Because what are the freedoms that democracy is supposed to guarantee you? You have to go and check the Constitution. And then you look at the amendments. And you hear about the freedom of speech and freedom of religion and the freedom to bear arms. All of these things now become the freedoms. But within the black population, there is no freedom to own property. So you remain landless. There is no freedom to have access to the resources of the society. So where and I check our history and our story about governance, we were the ancient Egyptians and those societies dealt with more with what they call their theocratic framework and the concept of a God king. And I've recommended that we try to return to that source. But the idea of democracy as the way and the only way of governance, it is flawed. And it is flawed along the line of discrimination, wherein there is an inbuilt racial inequity, and It is justifying what is being called capitalism, which is supposed to be a free-for-all, no limitations, every man for himself, survival of the fittest, the jungle concept. So you're free, but you're not free from shelterlessness. You're not free from lack of education, because these things you have to be able to finance. And so the whole money issue becomes a factor now in a capitalist society. And who creates the money, who owns the production, defines everything. The black population turned loose after emancipation. We're landless, uneducated, cannot enjoy a democracy. So we have to wake up out of that illusion that there are two groups in America that call themselves Democrats and Republicans. And ultimately, the ideology remains white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant domination. In reflection, in the way governance operates in other cultures, voting, I don't have any recordings or any, history of the voting process. I would need some support as the whole conclusions and decisions were made. I know that there were council meetings, elders would sit in and have a reasoning. I don't know how the voting thing come in, but ultimately decisions have to be made. So reasoning, thinking, rather than allowing people to think for you, is an essential part of governance. And we have to look into our own story. Check out what the democracy is. Check out how does it benefit I and I. Check out what the republic is. Look into the culture and the type of governance that is suitable. Because, there are some societies and people who think that a military governance is dictatorial and it is all of these negative things. But democracy also has a dictatorial aspect to it. And then there are beneficent dictators and there are tyrants. We have to think outside of democracy and outside of communism, outside of socialism, outside of capitalism, outside of Christianity, outside of Muslim. But we develop a black thinking. This is the Metamorphosis.
And still I call you mama. May you never be ruled, controlled by no Yankee dollar. Oh Africa, and still I call you mama. With love is my tool, still I and I must prosper. Oh Africa, and still I call you mama. From one of your sons abroad, oh I wish I could be back and Basakana. Mama, 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 mama. I keep wishing I could capture love in a bottle and blow it all around. I keep wishing I could capture justice in America and fling it all around. Ding ding dang way. Justice turns around to the highest trigger finger of war. Sling ding dang way. silence you agree. You think so that the dollar is a sample and the example of Jah. You feel you rule with superiority. Spling ding dang way. Justice don't sell out to the highest trigger finger of war. Spling ding dang way. Will you them a gun nigga? Stop pull trigger on one another. Mama.
Actually, more pyramids in the Sudan than there are in Egypt. There are more pyramids. But the pyramids that actually I am excited about are the pyramids that have been discovered in the Atlantic Ocean. And there's not much report and recording and discussion about this because it don't really suit the Europeans and the Americans or black people discuss this now, you know. Because that is going to take us into some directions that we may begin to uncover something that we're not really supposed to know. It may take us away from that old biblical narrative and realize that pyramids in the Atlantic Ocean and that the Cubans have discovered these pyramids off the coast of Cuba. Now, what are these pyramids? Who built these pyramids? And obviously, we have to assume that they were not built underwater. So if we use our own imagination, we could realize that these things had to be at one time on land. In other words, there was no water. And it takes the brain now deeper into the history of the planet itself. So these underwater findings, the Cubans recognize it to be at least about 6,000 years old. A 6,000-year-old city immersed off the west coast of Cuba. This was discovered by a team of Canadian and Cuban researchers. No, this is not brought in the mainstream because it will challenge the status quo. It will force questions and to raise questions as to who are the people, who are the builders of these pyramids, and how did the Atlantic Ocean become the ocean? Was there a time when there was no ocean? So what they have discovered is that complex structures, as long as 400 meters wide and as high as 40 meters, sitting on top of each other with very distinct shapes. Now, our black people, we need to take up these type of things and search it out, you know, because we can't just be locked into the idea of everything coming out directly out of Africa, straight into America, into Europe. There is an anciency of the world that is connected to the Mediterranean, to the Atlantic Ocean, what they call Mesoamerica. So make we focus a little bit in our searching for ourselves. Let us not get locked into the continent as it is, because the history of the planet shows that the continents were once connected. You look at your map and see if you can push the pieces together. Yeah, check the globe itself. So when I speak of the pyramids of Egypt, it is just a starting point to enter the global pyramid culture. And this culture is a black culture. This culture is in Peru, it's in Mexico, it's in Egypt, it's in even North America. There are pyramids that have been found there. So it's a black man, black people. We have been here for thousands of years before Columbus came into this area, and thousands of years before the Christian doctrine was written, thousands of years before the first Muslim come onto the earth. We are the original black, melanated, pigmented people. And this is the Metamorphosis.
STYLZ FM Radio, Portland's biggest, hottest radio station. Trust me.
Architects, draftsmen, and surveyors, get your drawings printed in high-quality professional standards. We can satisfy your printing needs. Whether it is for presentation to your clients or for submitting building and subdivision application, make it VJ Printing Services. Whether drawing by hand or with computer-aided softwares, we will plot your negatives and print the copies as you need. We do high-quality white paper printing that is water-resistant and never fades, unlike traditional blueprint. For more information, call VJ Printing at 893-2266.
This feeling is taking over me. I'm so excited.
Feel the euphoria.
Tuesdays from 5 to 9 p.m. with the Master Mixer Musical Maestro Digital Team.
Giving up total satisfaction with melodies and memories by the score. With the widest selection of genres and hits. So you don't know that program you turn up, you know. So you know Patek's a full dance, the one you slap with.
Digital and we are party. Yeah, we flawless. Euphoria the program. Every Tuesday.
5 to 9. Every Tuesday.
With the Musical Maestro Digital Team.
Remember STYLZ FM on social media. View us on YouTube at STYLZ FM Radio. Follow us on Instagram at STYLZ FM. Like us on Twitter at STYLZ FM 961. Become a fan on Facebook. STYLZ FM 96.1.
Business operators, local and overseas. This announcement is for you.
STYLZ FM is an internationally known radio network with worldwide listeners in over 120 countries.
From our studio in Port Antonio, Jamaica, to the ears of the people in your community, our listeners can be your new customers.
STYLZ FM is an economical, efficient, and effective advertising option for your business.
No matter the size of your business, there's always growth potential. STYLZ FM provides the customer reach needed to realize that upward movement.
So procrastinate no more. Advertising is a must.
For more details on how to advertise with STYLZ FM, visit www.stylzfm.com or email info@stylzfm.com or call us on 876-518-2399.
STYLZ FM, the world listens.
Everything is going fine. Yes, blessed love. This is Denver Morgan saying, tune into the Metamorphosis with Dr. Iman Block every Monday night from 9 p.m. to midnight. Be ready to be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Jah Rastafari.
No more will I roam. Tell them about your adventures too. I'm going home. No more will I roam.
so long, and still I have to carry on. I'm coming home. No more will I roam. Yeah, I'm coming home. No more will I roam. I'm coming. I said.
STYLZ FM.
No more will I roam. Yeah. Too long I've been alone, trying to find a lover while endless days seem so long, and still I have to carry on. I'm coming home. No more will I roam. Yeah.
Yeah, Metamorphosis rolling on through STYLZ FM, and of course got to heal up the listeners. Heal up Ricky in Toronto, and we heal up Chalice. We heal up Empress Tia. We heal up Skillachi right here on the rock, and we heal up Kevin in Tampa. And Kevin asking up, trying to provoke me, asking me about the song that the band then play in the trumpet protest. I think they played a Bob Marley song. Check it out. Those people who were protesting and fighting for them rights, these white nationalists, they were playing Bob Marley. Because Bob Marley songs can be played by any group and any situation. You know? Bob Marley songs are so broad. But them choose Three Little Birds. Yeah, I don't know what is the symbolism, why them choose to sing Three Little Birds. But it is worthy to observe, you know. So just go and pay attention to what the people are doing and how they're using up our cultural icons now to represent their struggle. Can't do nothing about it because that is the way of the world. But to paying attention to what is happening locally, we're paying attention to what's happening globally, but we need to have a perspective. And we have to try to be less emotional as black people in this drama. Our emotions have been, you know, brutalized for so many decades that now is not the time to get emotional when these people having their own tribal issues. And you see, it's a very important time where people who are conscious must define whether they are embracing the concept of being Negroes in identity or whether they're going to be black people. Because the Negro is part of the problem, you know. The Negro is a person of pigmentation who tries their very best to show white people how much they are equal to them and how much they love them. And nobody wants to promote hate, but you have to have a certain amount of care for yourself. I won't even call it self-love. Because I think self-love is a very destructive thing. Just as dangerous as self-hate. We must move out of those emotional binaries and begin to talk about care. Yeah, man, we need self-care. And once we begin to care ourselves, then we begin to have a respect for what we care for. It's an automatic way, you know. But you see, when you talk about you love yourself, and if you don't love yourself, you can't love nobody else. When you love yourself, you have no space to love anybody else. You become obsessed with yourself. And you get the concept now of narcissism and me. Yeah, you get the me concept now out of this self-love. What we want is self-care. If we change the language, that we can change the attitude and ultimately change the behavior. Because love is an amorphous shape, you know. Love don't have no shape. Love don't have no form. Love is commenting, and people can become violent in their love. Who wants that? People become insecure in them love. Who wants that love? People become jealous in them love. Who want that? That love not bringing any tranquility and peace. We need care. You see, once you have care, you have found the balance. automatic. So you see, black people get up tomorrow morning and say, no, look for your partner next to you and say, I care. A different thing from talk about baby, I love you, you know. There's some European movie business where man ride off on horse and all them foolishness there. Make we change the language of how we handle our own issues. Make we talk about care and respect becomes automatic. Now the respect in Jamaica where a man a beg a thing. And if you give him to him say respect. A thanks him supposed to say. If you don't give him cuss you, which means there's no respect there. We're playing around and we're playing games with ourselves. And the media is here to expose to us the power of language. Care is the word. Because the great disturber has brought to us the consciousness of what is called fake news. I never know fake news really exists. Over the last 3-4 years, I realized that it's really an establishment that generates fake news. And the biggest fake news that drop on black people is the King James Version of the Bible. That is fake news. This is the Metamorphosis.
Ready, make we do it. And if you're ready, make we do it. Make we do it for Jah. Make we do it Rastafari. Make we do it the roots and culture. Make we do it. And if you're ready, make we do it. Make we do it and make we do it. Make we do it and make we do it. Have to do it. Every nation have to do it. Every nation have to do it. Every nation have to do it. Make them do it, yeah, make them do it. Make them do it, yeah, make them do it. Do it for Jah. Rastafari. Roots and culture. Do it for Jah. Rastafari.
trying to get some perspectives on the drama that is presently unfolding in the US of A. And it's not over. Because this exit, I call it scorched earth exit. And in an exit of this nature, when the defeated forces are withdrawing, they destroy everything in their path, leaving the conquering army much to rebuild. I'm of the view that this is a process being unleashed on America. Donald Trump is displaying the scorched earth policy, which is to rip and run off and leave that place desolate. And not only will the political and economic machinations feel the wrath of Donald Trump, but COVID-19 is really, really ravaging the empire in its final stages. I have to observe and be observant that the presidency of the United States will never be the same. The image of America will never be the same. The Chinese are having a field day. The North Koreans are having a field day. There's a lot of gloating taking place in the globe because, you know, the mighty power is on the verge of becoming beggars, begging for vaccination, begging for help, begging for healing. And at this time of begging, it is obvious to I and I that this is an empire in its final stages. And the president who is on his way out is trying to ensure that the America that Biden inherits will just simply be states, disassociated states. These states may never be as united as the framers of the Constitution had desired. So, how will Trump leave the stage? And if you notice, the attempt at the government, the insurrection, the rebellion, it wasn't concentrated on Washington. There were flare-ups in almost all of the other states. So it's a nationwide effort. And what these people are saying is that they're not finished yet. I thought that that card was the last card. They said they have one more card to pull 2 days before the inauguration. Boy, these people are serious. And this last pull, I have no imagination to put there, so. But one thing I'm sure about the previous attempt is that the crowd that invaded the bastion of democracy, there was an attempt to bring in now the federal government. I was of the view that Trump was trying to press this into a national emergency. And at this level now, you can really call martial law in the whole country and just banish the elections. I was really surprised that the man really stopped the count. Them stopped the literal recount by the congressmen. When the first objection by Arizona, and they took a break, they never recovered from the break. Is that the thing was timetabled, it was choreographed. So there is more to come. There's more to come, and the more that will come is the further in decline this American empire will be moving. The incoming administration is trying to blacken up the place. Them putting black people in everywhere now. Everywhere you look, you see a black face. It's pure first black now upon America. Pure first black. First black this and first black that. First black this and first black that. First woman this, first black that. First woman this. So this policy of appeasement, along with the the real war now against COVID and the masking is really going to aggravate the divide that has been really set up by this outgoing president. So black people globally now have to begin to look at a homeland that will be more suitable. We have to begin to think continent. We have to begin to think business. We have to begin to think about black economics. Because in this time, especially under the COVID vibrations, our nations are forced to defend them own self. And our nation is not America. And our nation is not even Jamaica. Our nation home is a continent. And everybody can live on the continent, so we have to regard where we live as our home. And defend that to the extent wherein we benefit from the resources in that space. So some decisions have to make. We're seeing where the church has become totally silent and almost irrelevant under this dispensation of COVID. So this is an opportunity for people now to take them money and redirect their money now into capital and business ventures. We could take the tithing money and put it into a partnership. We could rebuild trust amongst individuals and allow the banks and the institutional robbery go on. They're forcing everything to be online. Everything is online. We can maintain our financial growth through trust and through our ancient system of partnering. Things are returning to normal, There's going to be what they call a new norm. But for black people, our new norm must be what has been traditional. Community development, economic partnerships. Yeah, we have to reorganize, reset. As they reset their economies, I have to reset our own economies, our own mentality, reorganize our relations. This is the time, and this is the metamorphosis.
With his garment dipped in blood, said it I go red hot, down in Joanna France. Yes, it I go red hot, down in Joanna France. When Jah come from Jerusalem, with his garment dipped in blood, said it I go red hot, down in Babylon. Try to treat every fruit before they open out the door. Can't understand how they treat the poor. Yeah, when Jah were born in a stable, a saddle grass, a little hay lazy.
Hail up Rock Street, hail up Land, hail up the New York listeners. And I can't go to New York and don't touch Connecticut. Hail up Buckman, hail up Shanty. You can't touch Connecticut and you don't speak to Jersey. Hail up all the ones and ones in Orange. And then it's not fair to go to Connecticut and you don't go into Pennsylvania. You know all the ones in the Pennsylvania. Being, Beach, and Company, and then Atlanta not so far. So I just say, one giant beat to California, Metamorphosis,
What they want, let the wicked believe.
out of the people on the island, land of slavery. Hail up Sadie, down there in St. Anne. Hail up Pauline, St. Anne. Hail up Natty Roots, woman there in St. Anne. And then you can't leave out St. Thomas. See Amira? See Annette? Yes, St. Thomas Forces, Portland Forces. St. Mary, we'll wrap off the Confederation in St. Anne, the land of Marcus Garvey. These are the four parishes that will become a confederation. Push weight. Yeah, political and economic weight, political weight. Yeah, this is a confederation that must establish its autonomy in the transformation of this island. St. Thomas, Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, one confederation, one international airport, one identity. Yeah, Metamorphosis.
What they wanna ride, let them wicked believe.
STYLZ FM 96.1, 96.7. People Station.
One thing I've got to say, you better not trouble this man. My fears have gone away out of Babylon. 'Cause I already paid for the wrongs that I've done. So I can safely say I am Rasta son. On Judgment Day I'll be playing music for the rebels. Roots rock reggae music playing sweet in heaven. On Judgment Day I'll be playing music for the rebels. Roots rock reggae music playing sweet in heaven. Foolish man built up his house upon the sand. But Rasta man built up his temple on a firm foundation. You see, you knows, you better know yourself. Yeah. Don't sit aside and criticize. Come on and help yourself. Yeah. On Judgment Day I'll be playing music for the rebels. Roots rock reggae music playing sweet in heaven. On Judgment Day I'll be playing music for the rebels. Roots rock reggae music sweet in heaven. Mother, there's too many of you cry. Brother, there's far too many of you die. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today.
What's going on? You want to know what's going on? You have to find time to distill the information coming in all through these various channels. Because I have come to the understanding now within the Trump administration regime that there really is something called fake news, and that there is a power in the press. And black people now, I want you to just pay attention to these few thoughts. Donald Trump comes to office and declares himself an enemy of the press, and declares the press as the enemy of the people. Now, this is a very serious line for a president in a place like America, that is a democratic society, to adopt the line and to tell the people that the press is the enemy. Now, when I hear that, I don't hear maybe the same way a next man hear it. Because in the United States, the press is supposed to symbolize freedom. The press is supposed to symbolize the freedom of the people. And here comes the president and telling us that the press is crooked. So, because I'm not moving along the emotions of whether I'm right or wrong, I'm looking into whether the press is really crooked or not. And not just crooked now, from the black perspective, is the press oppressive? And does the press oppress black people? Specifically, I asked the question. And then it forced I man now to examine the history of the press. Because I remember now, when a white man in the presidency tell you that the press is the enemy of the people, it's kind of the people, is not I man, I'm not talking about I black people, I'm talking about his people. So there are separate peoples, of course, in America. We saw them clash at the Capitol. So, black man now, we go check the media and with the power of this thing called the press, because the press is what is giving people ways of thinking. So, you look at the press as an institution now, and even look at the island like Jamaica, slave plantation colony. Why would a plantation colony need a press? Yeah, you just create sugar cane and banana, rum and them things. Why would you need a press? What's the significance of a press on a plantation? And at the outset, the slaves can't read. But you are printing a media, a newspaper, like in Jamaica, 1834. It is in line with the emancipation. So the press now would establish and check it out now, Who owns the press? The press is not just about putting out information. The information is with a certain ideology behind it. Who owns the press? Who owns the American press? And who owns the Jamaican press? Because here we move away now, We move away, we begin to search about who controls the society. And you look at the owners now of these media houses and how much of them are in the billionaire club, are near to be what you call the richest men in the world. So we move away from the veil of political power to the fist of economic and military power. So what we're recognizing, little by little, is that the press really is a defender of the establishment. And Trump has appeared as an anti-establishment president. What a drama. And if a black man declares himself as anti-establishment, it's a different thing than when a white man like Trump says he's anti-establishment. Because within the black man framework, he's not even a citizen, he have no power. So the press now, when Trump declares war against the press and stop having press conferences and call them liars and things, the whole of them gang up on Trump. And they begin to carry the narrative. And that is the narrative that becomes mainstream and everybody fall into that. Yeah, everybody fall into that. Everybody's saying what the mainstream is saying about Trump. To the extent that there's a total blackout now of Trump in the access to the media and the Twitter and the Facebook. This is the extent of where the war reach. Yeah? These billionaire owners now who own these things that we have to be begging to have use of them. Lock off the president of America. So what about me? Well, here I'm to me now for the first time. Them and them lock one of my Facebook account for 24 hours. Them a punishment, you know. Them say me recycle a post that speaks to women and the value of women is to man if it's not only sex, and them lock me for an hour. I just smile to myself because I hear about Facebook prison. I know for sure that you have Facebook police. There are policemen on the international highway of knowledge, and they are now searching out for people who are thinking on their own. All of this now inspired by the Trumpian uprising and the fact that a man can have 90 million followers on Twitter. And how much more million who are not on Twitter. And you tell me that the ideology of this man now is just one-off? We had better wake up to the ideology of the Confederacy, that it is alive and kicking in America. And it has always been there, manifested particularly through the police force. But is it through the democracy thing and the right to vote and equality struggle? We have been lost. We have been deluded. But here comes Trump, the disturber. Time to wake up. This is the Metamorphosis.
FM 96.1, 96.7. The People's Station.
STYLZ FM.
You're so real.
well what's going on in the African perspective, you know. And I'm making mention of the African continental free trade area. This is an agreement signed by 54 up to 55 countries in Africa. No, you check this out now, you know. 54 up to 55 countries in Africa have united on a deal at an estimated value of $3 trillion and could help to realize more than $84 billion in untapped intra-African exports. Now, this is the point I and I need to move towards. That we got to recognize that the trading and the commercial movements don't have to go to the north. We can begin to think about trading on the African continent. Yeah, this is the moment to make that transition. Check it. Check it.
You're the prettiest woman I can see a time. Play that back for me one more time. STYLZ FM.
Of this island, Kingston and St. Andrew. Hail up all brethren who live in Harbour View. Hail up my brethren over in St. Catherine. And the brethren further down the parish into Clarendon and St. Elizabeth and Manchester and these places where STYLZ FM is ringing out. Interesting times we're living in. Persons are in Europe under lockdown, suffering from some very serious psychological problems. Yeah, it's a very serious thing in the lockdown, and we are looking into the possibility of whether Jamaica would have to be facing those kind of emergencies, because this thing is a wave, and are we in Jamaica prepared for the seriousness of what a real pandemic could look like on an island like this. Because on Jamaica Island, to me, a lot of the population don't take the thing deadly. And the floating of the established protocols, you know, people are having doubts about taking the vaccination. And as we move into the period now, where in America we'll have the new president, this president now is going to declare that vaccinations now are mandatory, which changes the entire complexion of the travel industry, impacts tourism. So some things ahead where we have to begin to try to think about these things and have some preliminary structures that can sustain us. So an island like Jamaica now, who get a double whammy, double lick now because of the lockdown of the traveling out of Canada now, and the stipulation that you have to have almost like a vaccine passport. It's going to bring a whole different ball game when it comes to traveling in and out of the country. And so for the I who is here and don't have the desire to travel or can't travel, if we begin to think internal now, no longer can we think outside for the salvation. If we begin to think internally, you have to turn to your inner skills now, your aptitudes and your talents. You have to find these ways to transform these things now into meaningful work activity. So with tourism on the dead and agriculture lacking markets for them things, the revolution now is in place mentally, where the people must farm. And they can't farm food. And they can't farm food, pure food, or farm food. We have to move into the farming of industrial products. And of course, the easiest, most available is hemp. Years and money waste into this cannabis. And eventually it collapse. But this is the hemp industry, which there's no will to launch it, because apparently there's no way of controlling it. Because if you launch a hemp industry, you know, black people going to run with that, you know, left, right, and center. A man going to just run off and set up a little paper mill over there, so. A little man going to run off and decide to just start produce pure oil. A little woman going to run off and start produce pure cloth and start make uniform. The potential is here. And if it's COVID and the decimation of the American and English empire, that will force black people to look more into their own self-reliance, then so be it. Marcus did say that we shall know ourselves when our backs are against the wall. And the wall right now is COVID. And they're getting higher. So we better think and look into ourselves even deeper. We have to change the mentality by reflecting on our identities. Reconstruct our identity and repair our personalities, that we can come out of this stronger. There is no room and space for weak links. We have to strengthen each other, that we can move as a collective. It's no more an individual struggle. It's no more each man for himself. It's about I and I and I. This is the Metamorphosis.
Angelic music.
The Afrocentric kingdom, and all things will be added unto I am. Yeah, seek ye first the kingdom of Afrocentricity, and all things will be added unto I and I.
You can't scare me. Be no close, see you hear me. Me say, TikTok and everybody love that. Complexion white, I red that black. Live good, nobody.
rather bust no more shot. Me no want see nobody life drop. Not tool every day you a watch. Sit on your, put on your thinking cap. Rally back.
STYLZ FM.
Yeah man, before me switch me rather be poor. Cause the journey when me dep on me not be tour. Judge a leader so I follow him and I'll be sure to keep him close cause I love him the most, yeah. Jah protect I on the road, yeah, buckle and chuckle. And everyone can play the game but everyone a tackle. Them I expect you to come true. So when you come true, them I say it's a miracle. But I give them rope to end themselves. I give them rope to end themselves. Everything is just a matter of time. Every single thing is just a matter of time, yeah. I give them rope to end themselves. I give them rope to end themselves. Everything is just a matter of time. Every single thing is just a matter of time, yeah. Yeah man, my journey never nice, my road it never barber green. But still man I fi chat it cause a part of my dream. Never fabricate no story for no glory. Hard work, I that give I the victory. Even when me shoes did I done me still a work. Man I smile now but
winding down. And I want the ones them sort of look forward to the next couple of days. Look carefully what happens over the next 9 days as the American calamity unfolds. And organize and think about how can I and I as a people become more self-reliant. You know, we are dependent on the media and the medium for communication. There was a time ago when they introduced a thing called WhatsApp, you know? And I man tell everybody said me not going into that, you know. I totally resisted and rejected the concept of this WhatsApp thing because it was too free. I couldn't digest it because I know the implications of being licky. But then we hear everybody depend it and it's free and you can talk to your group and all kind of nice things. And I wanted to myself, I'm not doing nothing to that one, you know. And I'm on all out until last week or the week before when, because of the way of broadcasting the program now and decided to get a WhatsApp number. All of a sudden now I see in the press and in the social media that WhatsApp now I give the people an ultimatum. This is something free, you know, where everybody get hooked on, you know. So it's like when you go into the community with cocaine. And you look at the cocaine free, everybody gets for the high, you know. It's when everybody hooked now, then you start selling them. Because they need it. Well, WhatsApp has given the users an ultimatum. Them tell them say, they must share them information with Facebook. Or they have to stop using the app. This is bullyism and badmanism now, you know. And it's Facebook own messenger with 2 billion users. Now, I want to mention this, you know, to show the item how much we are all connected on this plantation and who the dominant culture, which is white people, we still hook up on them technology. And if them cut we off, we drop off. We have lecturers being paid by universities. And lecturers can't say certain things, otherwise them lose their money. We have to find a way to break off of that plantation vibration, you know. And we can break away because we have plenty black people with resources who could help finance and support our thinkers. But our great thinkers need resources to also finance them children and their own life. So they end up working part-time on the plantation. We need to find a way to break away. So there should be a black media. The black players them could form them own leagues. Them is a star. And control the television rights. And we need ownership. We need ownership. And it takes an aspiration in your mentality. You have to aspire to own things. And not just be consumers. So this is an important moment where black people collectively with money must think about owning our own media. So we can define a narrative that is beneficial to I and I. So we're not in panic in this moment. We're not going to become discombobulated with data and information about how many people dying per hour and per second from COVID, and everybody who dies from COVID is COVID. Trump was right. COVID. Look here. There's more to it than that. And black people need to pull our heads out of this morass and begin to think Pan-African, Ashanti, Afrocentricity, Garvey. Yeah, make us get our own act together. This is the Metamorphosis.
Is unlost. So remember, all highs is unlost. Let's move constructively. Be at the right place at the right time. Let's move constructively. Be at the right place at the right time. Let's move. There's some little girls and boys in the ring. There's some little girls and boys in the ring. Once upon a time.
Going out another edition. Give thanks to engineer Jocko. Stayed on the ball and precise. And there's a reflection on what's happening in North America before we go out. Let us remember, and remember carefully, that Donald Trump organized a Bertha movement and challenged the authenticity of Barack Obama's citizenship and provoked a racial uprising to drive Barack Obama out of office. And he made it his mandate to reverse all of Barack's achievements. Now we have Biden entering with his own mandate to reverse Trump. So two reversals. America in decline. America losing its status. Rastaman say forward ever, backward never. Give thanks, pay attention. There is more to come out of Hollywood. And we make notes and we observe. We give thanks for consciousness, and we are glad that we have a homeland that we are now claiming. Everybody will not live there, but the Chinaman has Chinese all over the planet, and they get respect because of their homeland. That's what we need in this time. So we stay alert, and we stay conscious, and we critically assess and analyze democracy and what it's all about. I'm on Black saying, stay strong.
Ooh, fire tree. Fire. Oh, fire tree. Oh, fire. The diesel train. Diesel, electric train. Tell me now. Oh, good fire tree. Good fire. Good fire tree. Good fire. The diesel train.
This is STYLZ 96.1, the People Station.